For joining us this evening. And the Prime Minister's appeal to the nation comes on the back of tensions in the Middle East, which have stressed the energy supply chains across the world. The Prime Minister has urged the nation to ensure we do what we can to limit the use of petrol and diesel and also save India's forex reserves. Now, concerns are growing over possible hikes in prices of fuels and essentials. Experts are now projecting a rise in fuel prices here in India. And here's what we're essentially talking about. To discuss that, we have with us Gourav Vallabh, who's a member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Let's take a look at what is being projected at this point of time. A possible rise in fuel prices of 5 rupees a litre. This is what processors have told Bloomberg. Let's quickly bring up the next graphic. It's also being suggested to be 10 rupees per litre initially by some other reports and 18 to 20 per litre in 3 to 6 months by the MK Global Financial Services. Now, the next question that many are also talking about is what really are we looking at in terms of the projection, in terms of the Prime Minister himself leading from the front and walking the talk. After urging the country to cut fuel consumption and avoid excessive spending, the Prime Minister's convoy was spotted earlier today with just 2 vehicles. This is a departure from the usual norm of about 14 to 17 cars that accompany his convoy. And this move is not only symbolic but a practical gesture as India braces for the economic fallout of rising global oil prices. It's not just the Prime Minister, but several union ministers as well as even chief ministers who've actually come out and done the same. Gourav, let me take you through what really many are talking about. We've seen the VVIPs who've cut down on their convoys. We've seen the Prime Minister's appeal, and it is a fact that oil has gone up from about $75 to about $105 per barrel. How much are we looking at, and how far do we need to brace for fuel price hikes is the question.
You have to look the entire scenario from global perspective. There are 3 geopolitical issues which are moving. One, you had rightly pointed out, the West Asia conflict. But there is an impact, still an impact on European economies due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And the third, which is also very important, that US-China, there is a commodity pricing conflict. Because of this, the entire supply chain, not only of oil, but of other commodities also got interrupted. In other words, from the shipping routes where the goods were moving, those shipping routes, not only the Strait of Hormuz, but other shipping routes are also getting disrupted. So there is a 3 geopolitical pressures on every country of the world. Now, from the Indian perspective, in FY26, in financial year 26, we had imported, the total oil import bill was close to 11.5 lakh crore. And the total gold import bill was 6.5 lakh crore. Together, these two, we have 18 lakh crore rupees of foreign exchange payment on these 2 commodities. And you had pointed out in your one graphic that the crude oil price on 26th February 2026 was $70 and today it is $105. So there is a jump of 50% because of these 3 geopolitical conflicts on the crude oil prices. And India being a country which is importing 87% of its consumption from other countries, there is some impact on us. Now, what Prime Minister is saying, he is not saying that stop this or stop that. He is telling he's giving a management concept called as optimization. He's giving a management concept which is called as smart spending of the goods which is having foreign exchange impact. So by smart spending, if we can control 10% of our spending, I'm just giving a rough estimate of 18 lakh crore, 1.8 lakh crore of foreign exchange outflow we can save. And if 1.8 lakh crore rupees of foreign exchange we can save as an outflow, the current account deficit, which is something around 3.2 lakh crore, that pressure on CAD is going to be subsumed.
But I want to just, before I go across to the next set of graphics, ask you this. This whole concept of smart spending, there was a lot of talk about whether this is austerity. Is this a rethink after we've seen the stocks react a little negatively?
No.
Why was this not communicated earlier, for instance?
From beginning, it was smart spending of forex import sensitive consumption. That's all. It's not only petrol, diesel is the first commodity, gold is the second commodity. Together, these 2 commodities, our foreign exchange import these two commodities is something around 40-45%.
Okay.
Remaining components also, Prime Minister is saying that if somebody is planning to have marriage function in foreign location, why not to have in Udaipur?
Okay.
It's going to save foreign exchange also, and it is going to have a local employment also.
Let's take a look at the next set of graphics. If you can quickly get that up on the screen. In fact, this is what we were discussing. Prime Minister and CMs, we've seen Yogi Adityanath order 50% cut in his fleet. Let's get the next plate up. We've asked to see ministers asked.
Yeah. That today he was moving with only two cars.
It's normally about 14, 15
and
of them.
Madhavdas G, I am giving my own personal small example. Today from the morning I am using metro.
Okay.
I saved something around 1,200-1,300 rupees of petrol bill. Okay. Which is close to $15. Okay. So I am very satisfied at the evening when I am talking to you that I had saved $15 of forex outflow for my nation.
Okay. So will all citizens take that cue? It's a big question. Of course, differing views coming in. Let's quickly look at another thing that Indians find very dear, and that is gold. Earlier, of course, we've seen the import duty that was hiked. It was earlier at 6%, now at 15%. For both gold and silver. Now, what is the reason for this and how far? Let's quickly get in the next plate as well. What are the curbs on gold? In fact, it's essentially to reduce the burden on the import bill that you were talking about. India is, of course, the world's second largest gold importer. India imports almost all the gold that is consumed over here. In 2026, the gold imports touched $72 billion. That is clearly 9% of the total imports, which shows how significant this is. But how practical is this? And at the end of the day, we all know that higher imports add to the pressure as far as the trade deficit is concerned. But is this really a practical solution? What about those who have marriages, for instance, in their families?
There is no ban. Anybody can buy the gold. Anybody can buy the petrol and diesel. But try to optimize it. If possible, like you asked marriage, खरीद लो भाई, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. पर instead of buying 3 necklaces, if possible, buy 2 necklaces and postpone the 3rd necklace purchase in the next year. That is financially also good, because maybe next year gold prices may be slashed. You can buy 2 necklaces in the price of 1 necklace which you had sacrificed today. Okay. So there is no ban, no panic, nothing. Everything is under control. We are having 60 days reserve of crude oil. We are having 45 days reserve of LPG. Try to have smart spending.
But is this just a short-term measure, or do you see this as a longer-term measure?
Why, if this becomes our habit, like Madhavji, I give you one example. Like before 2022 or before 2020, how many of us were doing virtual meeting?
Very few.
But between 2020 and 2022, we got a habit of virtual meetings. Yeah. Now, even there is no corona, we can move, we can travel, but we had reduced our logistic cost. The logistic cost of the companies and the government, the travel cost had came down, because virtually I can do board meeting, virtually I can address the meetings.
So it can possibly change habits. That's also what the government is possibly thinking. And in fact, we've seen the kind of fallout, we've seen the big gaps that we're talking about in terms of what really has been some of the big gaps. We were talking about fuel prices, of course. We're talking about rupee versus dollar, beg your pardon. In February, it was about 91.08%. In May, we are seeing how it is 95.71%. A rise of about 4.5 rupees over there. Fuel, of course, we've discussed Brent crude, 72.48 in Feb 27th. May 12th going up to 107.77, about $25 there higher. We're talking about India's forex reserves. Now, this is an important one, because in February 27th, it was $728.494 billion. On the 1st of May, it's $690 billion. What are we talking about in terms of the dollar itself? Look at the dollar, rupee versus dollar prices, and this is, of course, very significant, because from 90, we've seen the rupee falling to 91, 92, 93, 94, and these are the periods from December 2025 right up till March to April 2026, hitting 95. Is there also a fear that somewhere this might go further? Will the rupee fall further? Is also a concern that many have.
If we can save by our intelligent, smart consumption 5% of crude oil bill and 5% of the gold bill, this is going to reverse. Because fundamentally, Madhavji, we are at this level. And we had moved to this level because of geopolitical reasons. This is the fundamental level.
Okay.
We will rebound to this particular level because still when we are talking and we are doing this show, India is the fastest growing economy of the world.
Correct.
Still our inflation rate after 2.5 months of these geopolitical conflicts, our inflation rate is less than 4%. Still, our foreign exchange reserves are $690 billion, which is 65 lakh crore rupees. Still, our fiscal deficit is under control, and in FY26, we had grown at 7.6%. So, our fundamental levels of rupee is this. This is because of the temporary geopolitical scenario. Once this is over, we will rebound to this, and mind it, Madhavji, every emerging countries and every emerging nation of the world, their currency had fallen at the same rate.
At the same rate. But let me ask you a question. Let's quickly get the forex reserves graphic up on the screen, which is currently at around 690 billion that you were talking about. So just look at the gap. The gap is about $38 billion. Is it essentially because of this that the Prime Minister and the government have decided to go ahead with the austerity measures? And if this is restored, if I can just complete my question, if this is restored, are we going to again hit that $92 per level?
If we will move back to this, we will rebound to our previous fundamental level, and you see the robustness of the economy. After 2.5 months of pressure because of geopolitical scenario, still we are at 690 billion, which is around 65 lakh crore rupees. And this was an all-time high. We had an all-time high forex reserve, which is $730 billion, which is this amount.
Right.
So still we are very comfortable, no need of panic, no need of any extra thinking. Together 140 crore people, if we reduce or optimize our foreign exchange imported spending by 5%, 2%, 3%, we will come out of this challenge.
But is there also a fear that remittances may now come down because of the war situation, particularly in the Middle East?
There will be.
That also impact
there is an impact because of the GCC nations where a lot of Indians are working.
Absolutely.
Maybe in the last 2.5 months, some of them had lost the jobs because there are pressures on those economies also. So there is a pressure on remittances, no doubt about that. But this is a very comfortable situation, and mind it, ours is not export-oriented economy. Ours is a consumption-oriented economy. We manufacture and consumed by 140 crore Indians. Then this rotates the economic cycle of our country. And we are going to rotate this bit faster together with intelligent, smart spending. Just reduce, just try to postpone the foreign trips for the leisure. Instead of going to Switzerland, Madhavji, why don't try Shillong? Instead of going to Muscat, why don't you try Jaisalmer?
Okay. So that's, of course, for our viewers to decide. But I will talk about the one last point that obviously every Indian citizen is concerned about, and that is, of course, food prices. Now, clearly, of course, when you look at food inflation year on year, and look at, of course, the country-wise numbers that we're looking at, Japan has gone up by 1.4, France 2.2, Germany 2.9, South Africa 3.2, UK 3.3, USA 3.8, India 4.2, and higher than India still are Brazil at 4.4 and Russia at 5.9. Now, it's of course impacting everyone. There's no two ways about it.
No problem.
But is, only food oil or edible oil the only area of concern when we're talking about this inflationary impact?
The edible oil is there. There are some other components also. But see, whatever you are presenting is 100% correct. But see, compare India with any country of India's size. You can't compare India with a small country like Japan or France. Compare it with America or Russia. Our retail inflation or food inflation particularly is under control. So that's what I'm saying. We are at a very resilient economy. We are still a very strong economy. Some small geopolitical tensions are there. Problem is that nobody in the world knows that when these tensions are going to be resolved. But mind it, world will find its way. If these tensions are going to be for long term, the new trade routes are going to be developed, new logistic movement routes will be developed, and every country will find its way.
What about fertilizer? That's also something that Prime Minister has spoken about. Letting go of chemical fertilizers, focusing on organic, agriculture. Is that also something that will continue to remain pending like this for some time?
I will say that this is an opportunity for us. entire world is moving towards organic outputs, organic vegetable, organic grains. There's a big market. No country of the world is able to cater that market. If by doing all these things, we can enter into that area, there's a big market domestically for our farmers and internationally for our market, for our farmers.
We can't feed 140 crore people with organic farming. We are a country that has the agricultural revolution, the green revolution. How will it happen? How will we industrialize agriculture, for instance?
बोला जा रहा है कि एक रात में सब कर दो. Try to optimize. आपके पास 5 एकड़ है. Just try for 1 acre.
There will be an impact.
हाँ. अगर मैं माधव जी, there are a lot of, including some of the leaders in opposition party, they used to go every month on foreign trip for the leisure.
So that's a separate thing.
Why don't they go to India? I am saying domestic consumption करो, रुपये का बना हुआ माल रुपये में खर्च करो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. डॉलर और विदेशी मुद्रा का बना हुआ माल हो सके तो कम से कम करो.
Okay, but are there concerns? Certainly there are concerns. The global geopolitical situation is what it is, and certainly we have to make the best of what we can. But certainly what Gourav is sharing with us and what we've heard from the Prime Minister is that while nothing is binding, these are all suggestions, and certainly hoping that all citizens will do their bit to whatever extent they can to try and help reduce the dependence as far as the dollar, as far as foreign trade is concerned, and reduce the spending over there so that our reserves can remain high. Gourav Vallabh, thank you so much for joining us and explaining that to our viewers.
Thank you.